The Dallas Cowboys legend, DeMarcus Ware, wants to see more effort from the current team. The Dallas Cowboys have had a lot going on lately. On the surface, they seem to be a .500 team through 6 games, which seems decent and far from the worst-case scenario. However, the way Dallas got here has been quite concerning, with them giving up too much on defense and barely managing to do anything on. Ultimately, fans are questioning almost everything with the team now, something Jerry Jones doesn't seem to be a fan of, and in the process, the word soft has been thrown around. This is a heavy accusation to make about anyone else, a point I raised to DeMarcus, where when I spoke with him on Wednesday. You can watch our full conversation be. The setup for Ware included noting that the word soft is indeed a bit unfair to be offered, given that we don't know the complete and total circumstances. Given who he is and what he has accomplished, I was curious about his perspective, and he noted that Ware mentioned that when the Cowboys fall into big holes, something that is unfortunately happening quite often, the effort seems to fade a bit. It's hard to disagree with that statement. In past seasons, the Cowboys built leads over their opponents and attacked from above, so to speak. And with them losing so much this season, it has seemed like they were content to let things slip by. Of course, that wasn't the case in every game. Look at how the team rallied late against the Pittsburgh Steelers as an example. The Dallas Cowboys had a less than ideal start to the 2024 season. They are 3-3 and coming off one of the worst losses in franchise history to the Detroit Lions, 47-9 in Week 6. Despite the tough start, it doesn't mean owner Jerry Jones is thinking about giving up. According to Aaron Wilson of KPRC2 Houston, the Cowboys recently signed former XFL defensive tackle Jaylen Dalton. Before playing for the Seattle Sea Dragons and the San Antonio Brahmas in the XFL, Dalton had stints with 4 NFL teams in 5 years. From 2019 to 2023, the North Carolina product was with the Chicago Bears, New Orleans Saints, Atlanta Falcons, and Carolina Panthers, mostly on the practice squad. The Cowboys have been struggling up front with injuries, with Micah Parsons and DeMarcus Lawrence trying to get back to form. Meanwhile, maybe Dalton can find a way to make an impact on Mike Zimmer's defense. The player has 13 career tackles in the NFL with the Falcons in 2022, and he continues to push for another opportunity. He might be exactly the type of energy the Cowboys need if they want to turn things around. If they adopt the identity of a player who has continued to fight for his chance, perhaps they will be a bit stronger. Time will tell if Dalton can find a way to make an impact, starting after the Week 8 bye against the San Francisco 49ers. Why Dak Prescott and Mike McCarthy are pointing to Cowboys practices as a reason for struggles. A few days after suffering the worst defeat in Jerry Jones' 35 years of ownership, a 47-9 humiliation at AT&T Stadium at the hands of the Detroit Lions, the Dallas Cowboys are heading back to the drawing board during their scheduled bye this week. In a game where the Cowboys were outmatched in every aspect, the team's physicality and endurance were scrutinized after a stretch of 6 games in which Dallas was mostly dominated by physical styles of play. It's not something that can simply change overnight, and the team leadership agrees, as the focus is being placed on how the team can reposition its approach to practice during the week. In his post-game availability, Prescott highlighted how the team only tries to turn it around 1 day a week and how that translates on the field. "We have to practice more, plain and simple," Prescott said. "You can't just turn it on Sundays. I know I've said this to the guys before. We just have to reiterate it every day in practice, in our preparation. We have to practice more, prepare more, and come out here and play more. That's a choice." In response to the comments made by his quarterback, head coach Mike McCarthy agreed with Prescott by suggesting issues with the way the team practices during the week, but still gave credit for the work put in throughout the week. "I've been doing this a long time. This team practices hard," McCarthy said. "There's a difference between practicing hard and practicing well. They practice hard. We're not practicing well enough." Reinforcing his point about the team practicing hard, there is GPS data that tracks the players' movements and effort during any practice or game with a microchip installed in the shoulder pad or around the torso. If you look at the comparables of how the team practices on a GPS scale, this team is better conditioned than in 2022 and 2023 in terms of workload capacity, McCarthy said. That's what the numbers say, but the efficiency and productivity in areas of fundamentals and technique are not where we were at this time last year. That is very evident to me in how I evaluate practice every day. Prescott also challenged his teammates and himself on how they're approaching things outside of team facilities during the week to prepare for practices and games. "We want to win," Prescott said. "We want to play physically. We want to be great. So, it takes everyone looking in the mirror and asking, how can I improve? It starts with our preparation. It starts with being on the field, and then the time away from the facilities. What are you doing?
How are you spending your time?
Are you studying the game? Are you putting yourself in every situation and position to be ready and great in those moments?" We have a lot of guys, including myself, who need to answer those questions and be better. Period. The Cowboys will have their longest break of the season to figure out exactly how they can fix an apparent issue surrounding how the team prepares and practices during the week leading up to a game. Without a solution, the team could continue to face an underwhelming season that might derail sooner rather than later. With a solution, things could get back on track before a tough stretch of games in the next 5 weeks. "We have to keep working," McCarthy said. "That's the answer. And we will keep working." Radio hosts send a strong message to Cowboys owner Jerry Jones after being threatened. Dallas Cowboys owner Jerry Jones did himself no favors by threatening to fire 2 radio hosts from the Dallas area after a series of questions put him on the defensive following his team's 3-3 start. During an interview on Tuesday morning on Sean and RJ of 105.3 The Fan, Jones was asked about not signing any of the top free agents available this offseason, along with his overall failure to improve the Cowboys roster despite losing several key stars, such as running back Tony Pollard, offensive tackle Tyron Smith, center Tyler Biodas, defensive end Dorrance Armstrong, and cornerback Stephon Gilmore. Instead of taking responsibility, he started pointing fingers, becoming increasingly hostile and threatening to fire both show hosts, which didn't sit well with either of them. "It's really insulting, really demeaning, really insulting. And again, out of nowhere," said Sean Sharif on Wednesday morning's show. "We've done 14 years of interviews with this man. I wasn't upset about it, but I thought, you know what? Go fuck yourself, man," added RJ Choppy. Sharif made it clear that, despite their show airing on the Cowboys' flagship station, which gives him and Choppy special perks, such